Emergency services pull bodies while others look for survivors trapped underneath buildings destroyed in Russian airstrikes in Mykolaiv after several failed attempts to capture the port city. Ukrainian officials say Russia deliberately timed the rocket attack on the state administration to coincide with work hours so that government employees would be injured or killed. The attacks come as Moscow says it has changed its military objectives in Ukraine, now focusing on the eastern Donbass region. It could be a sign President Vladimir Putin is scaling back his limited military operation following fierce resistance. In a rare appearance, the Russian defense minister warned of a strong reaction should NATO further supply Ukraine, but insisted that the military operation was going to plan.
The Ukrainian president has signed a law restricting the dissemination of military information during a state of emergency. Violators will face up to 12 years of imprisonment. According to the law, filming the movements of the Ukrainian military's personnel, sites of shelling, street names, transport stops, shops, factories and other military facilities is now prohibited. The law also forbids the publication of data on the movement of foreign military aid received by Ukraine. The ban on the dissemination of information does not apply to the Ministry of Defense or the General Staff. The move comes after sensitive information about Ukraine's army showed up online.
We begin in Israel, where at least 5 people have been killed in a gun attack. Local media is reporting that a single gunman opened fire in several areas of Bnei Brak, which is the city near the city of Tel Aviv. The National Ambulance Service says the attacker has been fatally shot. It's the latest in a series of attacks in the past week.
Well, initially the reports were that this attacker was on a motorcycle and it was some sort of a drive-by shooting in separate locations inside Bnei Brak, which is an ultra-Orthodox sort of city or neighborhood of Tel Aviv, a very densely populated part of the country. There has been disturbing video that has emerged since, which shows the gunman walking, having already, it seems, shot 2 people who are seen prone behind him, and then firing again. There is someone on an electric bike who zooms past and just escapes narrowly from being shot himself. And then the gunman is seen to confront a car at very close quarters, demanding the driver stop, before apparently shooting him dead as well.
The Shin Bet security agency and police arresting at least 12 Arab-Israeli suspects overnight Monday with alleged ties to the ISIS terror group. Likewise, in the course of the arrests, law enforcement officials saying they raided 31 sites between Sakhnin, Nazareth, Al-Fahim, and other nearby towns, and seizing items that could indicate links between the detainees and the Islamic State. This, a day after 2 Arab-Israeli terrorists from Al-Fahim opening fire on civilians in Hadera, injuring several and killing 2 border police officers. Then additionally, the remand extended over another 5 residents from Al-Fahim who were arrested shortly after the Sunday shooting attack. But with this shooting being the second ISIS-linked attack in a week, the first in Beersheba leaving 4 dead, Israeli police expected to continue rounding up suspects in the coming weeks.
Germany's economy minister has issued what he's called an early warning about a potential natural gas supply emergency. This as European buyers face a payment deadline tomorrow, which Moscow is insisting must be met in rubles. Now, the early warning from Berlin is the first of 3 stages in the country's emergency gas plan. Economy Minister Robert Habeck says supplies are safe for now, but that they're preparing for an escalation by Russia. He says that Germany won't accept any breaches of its gas supply contract with Moscow. This after a Kremlin spokesman said the payment would only be accepted in rubles. European leaders have said that payments must continue in euros or dollars as per their contracts. It's an issue that French President Emmanuel Macron brought up with Vladimir Putin in a conversation on Tuesday. He told him it wouldn't be possible for Western companies to pay in the Russian currency. But Europe relies on Russia for 40% of its natural gas supplies, and energy experts say despite other recent supply deals, European countries would struggle to replace it in the short term.
This is what's left in one of the coaches after the attack. Hundreds of passengers on board. Many are still unaccounted for. Witnesses say the attackers opened fire after an explosion derailed the train.
When they entered coach SP17, they opened fire and forced out the passengers. One other passenger and I were found hidden under a seat when they emptied our coach. They shot the other man, who died instantly. I stood up and begged for my life. We were herded into the bush, but I managed to slip away in the dark.
The train was only a few kilometers from its destination. The wounded are being treated in hospitals, including this military hospital. It's the second attack on trains in 6 months on the same route.
Meanwhile, the Saudi-led coalition that is backing the Yemeni government against the Houthi rebels has announced a ceasefire from Wednesday. It's a pause in fighting that has been proposed ahead of the holy month of Ramzan. The Houthi rebels have rejected the proposal. They've called it completely meaningless without the coalition fully reopening the country's ports, which, remember, presently have been blockaded by the Saudi-led coalition. Several such efforts in the past have completely failed. There is no independent confirmation on whether the hostilities between the Saudi-led forces and the Houthi rebels have in fact been halted because of this announcement of the ceasefire. A spokesperson for the Saudi-led coalition has said that it will take steps and measures to make the ceasefire successful.
Mexico will rent out its presidential jet for weddings and parties after failing to sell it. President Andres Manuel Lopez said on Monday that he has practically given up his effort to sell the plane. Lopez refused to use the Boeing 787, arguing that it is too luxurious. He added that the plane will instead be given to a military-affiliated company that will set to operate the new Mexico City Felipe Angeles Airport, where it will be parked and available for on-flight parties.